Your Honor, I don't have any representations. I don't believe that this is a political matter. This is an issue about criminal justice. I believe the courtroom is the proper place to make issues about criminal justice. This is not political speech. It's not supporting a particular candidate, and it's not political speech. I don't believe that the DAs have been made to take off DA buttons. I don't believe that marshals have been made to stop wearing the black bands when there's been a death.
Wear it in the hallways, wear it in front of the courthouse, demonstrate, protest, use your voice, but that's not what's supposed to occur in a courtroom. When we're not here on a petition about a movement or a protest or anything like that. We're here to dispense justice on a criminal calendar of cases.
So what you just witnessed right there was a video of then public defender Erika Ballou getting into it with the judge who asked her to remove the obviously political Black Lives Matter pin from her lapel during the course of a trial, and her incoherent, ridiculous, babbling nonsense about how, oh, this is not a political message, this is not a political organization, and for whatever reason, Mr. White Man Judge, I think you're racially biased against me because you allow the prosecutors to wear pins on their suits that actually indicate they work for the prosecutor's office, so I just happen to think that that is completely unfair and ridiculous and over the top and possibly evil, white, and racist. Now, of course, this is obviously a ridiculous stunt by this particular judge. Needless to say, eventually she was, in fact, compelled successfully by the judge to remove this stupid-ass pin, but unfortunately, in the era of Black Lives Matter's resurgence post-2020, this woman was elected to a judgeship. She moved from the public defender's office with this grandstanding nonsense to the bench, and recently, because of a scandal, because of her biases, which are ironic because she would accuse each and every person who was not a woke social justice psychopath like herself of being biased, she has been removed from all criminal trials because she has been wildly inappropriate in her role at her position as a judge, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The Black Lives Matter Democratic Socialist judge that was basically tossed out like the garbage that she is based on the fact that she can't control her behavior, and she decided to go after a white public defender for being white, I guess. Now, we're going to get into this. We're going to break this down. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Video is circulating this evening after a new district court judge became quite emotional while sentencing a repeat offender. The I-team has learned the offender, 17 years old, and has a lengthy criminal history, including 8 previous counts for armed robbery. Now, he was already on probation, but was then charged as an adult.
I hope you were listening to me. I hope this means something to you. I hope you see how hard it is for me to do this to somebody as young as you, and I hope you think about that every single day, because I will probably think about this every single day for the rest of my life.
So as if the Black Lives Matter pin incident in 2016 wasn't a big enough red flag, what you just witnessed right there was video of a judge who had to sentence a violent repeat offender to a lengthy prison term because he already had about 8 prior felony armed robbery convictions to his name, and of course the judge decided to express sympathy for the perpetrator rather than the victim. And of course, this was an embarrassing notion. This video ended up going viral in January of 2021, so right after she was sworn into office. And again, this should set the stage for you guys out there in the audience for what kind of judge this person would end up becoming. And she has been racked with controversies and scandal ever since she took office. But I think it is hilarious for us to point out right now that at the time that she was elected, all these left-wing rags, these Democratic socialists, were celebrating her election, and one of the articles celebrating her victory actually came from the Jacobin, which is a Ben Burgess publication. And even though, by the way, I will say that Ben Burgess, who I've met in person a couple of times, I actually find to be a decent person in person, the fact is his outlet is absolutely crazy, and his ideology is probably all the way off a cliff in terms of left-wing nonsense. So let's get into this article about celebrating her victory, and then we'll tell tell you how exactly this ended up turning out. Headline: a Democratic socialist will soon be sworn in as a judge in Las Vegas. Public defender and racial justice organizer Erika Ballou won a Las Vegas judgeship with the backing of the Democratic Socialists of America. Next month, she'll take the bench with the aim of upending the criminal justice status quo. The Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, notched several high-profile wins at the ballot box this past November, but not all of those wins made national headlines. One such victory, the election of Las Vegas, DSA endorsed Erika Ballou to the District Court of Clark County, Nevada. Ballou is a career public defender, a DSA member, and a longtime activist with groups like Planned Parenthood and the National Lawyers Guild. Come next month, she will sit on the bench of the Clark County 8th Judicial District Court, the court system responsible for more than 2 million residents of the Las Vegas metro area. Ballou was one of 7 public defenders who ran for judgeships in Clark County this cycle in an effort to, quote, balance the bench from its traditional domination by prosecutors. All 7 were victorious. When she takes the bench in January, Ballou says she is planning to offer a more humane version of criminal justice than has been the norm in Clark County. The difference between her outlook as a 15-year veteran of the public defender's office and the traditional outlook of Clark County's judges is dramatic, she says. Quote, I understand that these are people, not just defendants. Most of the people who have gotten on the bench are prosecutors, and they don't think that our clients are human beings, she said.
You're a black man in America. You know you don't want to be nowhere where cops are.
Clark County Judge Erika Ballou in court in 2022 making comments that prompted the union representing Metro police officers to call for Ballou's resignation and an ethics investigation.
Listen to me. You know you don't want to be nowhere where cops are. Because I know I don't. And I'm a middle-aged, middle-class black woman. I don't want to be around where the cops are because I don't know if I'm going to walk away alive or not.
But that's just one of 2 incidents for which Judge Ballou faces new charges, which commissioners said violated the, quote, impartiality of the judiciary. That other comment was for, quote, chastising a prosecutor in 2021 for saying a man being sentenced for fleeing from police with a firearm had no reason to run. She told them, quote, there are absolute reasons to run from the police.
Now that fawning article from the Jacobin goes on to say what's even more remarkable about her victory is that she didn't take any political donations in order to run her campaign, and obviously this is alluding to the idea that she will be impartial, uncorruptible, and will just do a stellar, excellent job on criminal justice issues from the bench because, again, they're balancing it from these gosh darn public defenders that don't see the defendants as even human beings. It's absolutely disgusting and shameful, and now we're going to get into the fact that she basically inverted on everything that she promised and proved to be one of the more disgusting, biased judges that you could possibly have serving in this role in Clark County for nearly 4 years. Now, we just got to get into the story because it's this hilarious.
A judge is now removed from criminal cases, this in the wake of allegations of misconduct on the bench. Thanks for staying with us here at 6:30. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. The most recent allegations from a public defender who says the judge accused her in court of having sex with her client.
No, you did not just mishear that right there. This judge, this woke woman with the Black Lives Matter pin stunt back from 2016, is actually in a ton of trouble because she has gotten into a dispute with a public defender at the very office that she used to work for, calling her out for allegedly sleeping with one of her clients, among a whole host of other biased incidents against this woman, because it just goes to show you a strong, independent, Black Lives Matter supporting woman is no match for a regular, ordinary white lady, because they just seem to get under their skin like nobody else's business. So all of this inappropriate conduct, all of this inappropriate behavior was not even directed at a prosecutor, it was directed at a public defender, and needless to say, the clients that of course Erika sees as human beings were the ones who suffered the brunt of this multiple different times.
We broke the story of a public defender whose 90-page affidavit detailed a strained professional relationship, so she asked the judge, Erika Ballou, be removed from the case. Now, news the court has removed her from all criminal cases. Before we learned that news, I went to the case Ballou was removed from, and from which those allegations stemmed, and here's what happened.
Anna Stone on behalf of Mr. Garner.
Attorney Anna Stone from the Clark County Public Defender's Office in court Thursday with her client Jermaine Garner.
I don't necessarily disagree with you
Stone.
In front of Judge Eric Johnson,
So that's why we had this confusion.
confusion taking center stage, with Johnson taking over for fellow District Court Judge Erika Ballou, who Stone from the Public Defender's Office argued should be removed from Garner's case, saying in the 90-page court filing earlier this month, Ballou, quote, has a demonstrated deep-seated antagonism towards me that makes fair judgment impossible. And she used examples from several cases, including that she repeatedly scolded Stone in open court, saying things like, I want you to do your job, counsel. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Ultimately, Stone saying Ballou crossed a line she couldn't walk back. That Ballou, after court one morning from the bench, quote, accused me of my client, alleging I was having a sexual relationship with the defendant. That defendant was Deshaun Cross, who ultimately served 40 days on a guilty plea for an attempted residential burglary felony.
So as you just heard right there, this public defender ended up submitting a 90-page affidavit alleging all manner of misconduct and bias against her, including the judge accusing her with no basis in reality of sleeping with one of her clients, who, by the way, somehow managed to get a 40-day plea deal, which is disgusting and controversial on his own, for a felony residential burglary. But again, that is not the subject matter that we're discussing today, even though I do think that that result is disgusting on its own. It's the fact that the judge has decided to aim all of her ire at this particular woman at the public defender's office, to the point where she has lost all grasp and chain to reality and is just targeting this woman. And of course, in certain other cases, she's decided to go after her clients in order to get retribution against her. I will also add that public defenders don't typically make the big bucks, and as somebody who used to work in the public defender's office, you would think Erika Ballou would know this, but of course she doesn't. She's an absolute idiot in every possible way, and this is fully demonstrated later on when she decides to seek revenge against this public defender in the most crazy way, especially considering that this is a Black Lives Matter judge who talked about how her office and her administration sees defendants as human beings, unlike those filthy, dirty, disgusting prosecutors turned judges who just don't get that about those clients at the public defender's office.
It would be appropriate to give him another opportunity with additional guardrails.
The guardrails Stone asked for in Thursday's case were for Garner, before he's sentenced for stealing a car. Stone says Ballou kept Garner in jail for a long time for no reason, not willing to discuss it, not willing to change her mind, and not willing to let Garner go anywhere.
Something just happened.
Something just happened in Ballou's courtroom between the judge and the lawyer, Garner's wife told the 8 News Now investigators after court in a new courtroom in front of a new judge Thursday, where her husband's situation finally got some resolution.
I don't know what's going on with Judge Ballou and the public defender, but my husband got caught in the middle.
So you guys know by now, if you're frequent viewers of this channel, that I do not extend a lot of sympathy to the criminal. And when it comes to car thieves, as somebody who personally had my own vehicle stolen, by the way, no arrests have been made in that particular case, I know how it can be so devastating for somebody on a personal level. And I think the absolute worst of these individuals, and I am not against them being sentenced to lengthy periods of time for committing such a crime. That being said, that's my position, and I've made that clear to everybody out there in the audience, but Judge Erika Ballou is a Black Lives Matter activist who, remember, I showed you in January of her first year in office, basically the first week after she was sworn in, was crying over an 8-time convicted felony burglar, an armed robber, somebody who was a danger to society, because at that point in time, she had to give him a reasonable sentence. And she decided in this particular case, even though she's shown overwhelming sympathy for the criminal throughout her entire career, she ran on the fact that she thinks defendants are human, that she would just hold this guy indefinitely, delay consistently without providing an explanation, just because she hated the white woman who was the public defender for this individual. Just because she couldn't stand her, she decided to hold this man indefinitely. That is a thing that happened with this Black Lives Matter judge. And that's the crazy thing about these BLM activists. They talk about all this bias and how white people are inherently biased against blacks and all these minorities and whatnot, and how, oh, that infects every aspect of their judgment because of their evil white racism, when in reality, they are just projecting their own hatred and their own vitriol onto other people. Because as soon as this woman was in a position of power, what did she do? What did she do with that power? She ended up abusing it, dehumanizing a defendant in order to do so, and spreading salacious, ridiculous rumors against a white woman who worked at the public defender's office because she couldn't stand her for whatever personal reason. She let her biases overwhelm absolutely everything, and the people who suffered the consequences, of course, were the clients of this public defender that supposedly the prosecutors turned judges just have no sympathy for because they don't view them as human. And in addition to that, the whole sexual allegations that she ended up throwing out, or as the super mayor would call them, allegations.
False allegations and not facts.
Those are also projection, because this very judge recently had a controversy where she was photographed in a hot tub in a very questionable situation. And of course, that is the salacious rumors that she didn't like being spread about her.
Controversial district court judge will keep her seat but must take a course on judicial and social ethics. Judge Erika Ballou admitted she violated several ethics rules. Some of the charges centered around social media posts, one where Ballou appeared to state that cases where defendants are not in custody should be tossed out, and another where she posed with two lawyers from the Clark County Public Defender's Office in a hot tub. The district attorney's office also trying to get her removed from criminal cases it prosecutes. She will also get a public censure.
But instead of, actually dealing with the consequences of her own behavior, she ends up throwing that on to this public defender in this particular circumstance. And of course, this is why she has been deemed too incompetent, too ridiculous, too anti-white in order to hear any criminal cases in Clark County. So great job, Democratic Socialists of America. You keep teeing them up. I'll keep knocking them down, because the people that are on your roster are all clowns through and through, and Erika Ballou appears to be a perfect example of that. Now, of course, I'm going to leave this off to you guys out there in the audience. What do you think of this particular case? What do you think of this woman indefinitely holding a black man in jail in order to get revenge against a white public defender, despite being an advocate for Black Lives Matter? All your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a crazy Black Lives Matter judge out of Clark County. Till next time.